What was 9/11? Part 1. The September 11 attacks, commonly known as 9/11, were four coordinated Islamist suicide terrorist attacks carried out by Al-Qaeda against the United States of America in 2001. That morning, 19 terrorists hijacked four commercial airlines scheduled to travel from the East Coast to California. The hijackers crashed the first two planes into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York City, two of the world's five tallest buildings at the time, and aimed the next two flights toward the targets in or near Washington, D.C. in an attack on the nation's capital. The third team succeeded in striking the Pentagon, the headquarters of the U.S. Department of Defense, in country Virginia, while the fourth plane crashed in rural Pennsylvania during a passenger revolt. The September 11 attack killed 2,977 people, making them the deadliest terrorist attack in history. In response to the attack, the United States waged the multi-decade global war on terror to eliminate hostile groups deemed terrorist organizations, as well as the forgiven governments purported to support them. Conflicts were fought in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, and several other countries under this justification. The first impact was that the American Airlines Flight 11, which ringleader Mohammed Atta flew into the North Tower of the World Trade Center complex in Lower Manhattan at 8:46 a.m. 17 minutes later, at 9:03, the World Trade Center's South Tower was hit by United Airlines Flight 175. Both 110-story skyscrapers collapsed within an hour and 41 minutes, bringing about the destruction of the remaining five structures in the WTC complex and damaging or destroying nearby buildings. A third flight, American Airlines Flight 77, flew towards the Washington, D.C. and crashed into the Pentagon at 9:37 a.m., causing a partial collapse. The fourth and final flight, United States Airlines Flight 93, also changed course towards Washington, believed by investigators to target either the United States Capitol or at the White House. Alerted by the previous attacks, the passengers revolted against the hijackers. The hijackers crashed the aircraft into a Stony Creek Township field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania at 10:03 a.m. The Federal Aviation Administration ordered an indefinite group stop for all air traffic in U.S. airspace at 9:45 a.m. 59 minutes following the first impact. 59 minutes following the first impact, preventing any further aircraft departures until September 13th, and requiring all airborne aircraft to return to the point of origin or divert to Canada. The actions undertaken in Canada to support incoming aircraft and their occupants were collectively titled Operation Yellow Ribbon. That evening, the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, informed President George W. Bush that its counterterrorism center had identified the attacks have been to work of Al-Qaeda under Osama bin Laden's leadership. The United States formally responded by launching the war on terror and invading Afghanistan to depose the Taliban, which rejected the conditions of U.S. terms to expel Al-Qaeda from Afghanistan and extradite its leaders. The U.S. invocation of Article 5 of the North Atlantic Treaty its only usage to date called upon allies to fight Al-Qaeda as U.S. and NATO invasion forces swept through Afghanistan's Bin Laden elude them by disappearing into the White Mountains. He denied any involvement until 2004 when excerpts of a taped statement in which he accepted responsibility for the attacks were released. Al-Qaeda's cited motivations include U.S. support of Israel, the presence of U.S. military bases in Saudi Arabia, and sanctions against Iraq. The nearly decade-long manhunt for bin Laden concluded on May 2, 2003, when he was killed during a U.S. military raid after being tracked down to his compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan. The war in Afghanistan continued for another 8 years until the agreement was made in February 2020 for Americans and NATO troops to withdraw from the country. Last members of the U.S. Armed Forces left the region on August 30th, 2021, after which the Taliban rapidly returned to power. Ayman regions on August 3rd. Ayman al-Zawahiri, another planner of the attacks who succeeded bin Laden as a leader of al-Qaeda, was killed by U.S. drone strikes in Kabul, Afghanistan on July 30th, 2022. Excluding the hijackers, the attacks killed 2,977 people, injured thousands more, and gave rise to substantial long-term health consequences, while also causing $2 billion in fracture and property damage. It remains the deadliest terrorist attack in history, as well as the deadliest incident for firefighters and law enforcement personnel in American history, killing 343 and 72 members, respectively. The loss of life stemming from the impact of Flight 11 secured its place as the most lethal plane crash in aviation history, followed by the death toll incurred by Flight 175. The destruction of the World Trade Center and its environs seriously harmed the U.S. economy and induced global market shocks. Many other countries strengthened anti-terrorism legislation and expanded their powers of law enforcement and intelligence agencies. The total number of deaths caused by the attacks combined with the death tolls from the conflicts they directly into had been estimated by the Coast War Project of over 4.5 million people. Cleanup of the World Trade Center site, colloquially Ground Zero, took 8 months and was complete in May 2002, while the Pentagon was repaired within a year. After delays in the design of replacement complex, 6 new buildings were planned to replace the lost towers, along with a museum and a memorial dedicated to those who were killed or injured in the attacks. The tallest building, One World Trade Center, began construction in 2006. It opened in November 2014. Memorials to the attacks included the National September 11 Memorial and Museum in New York City, the Pentagon Memorial in Arlington County, Virginia, and Flight 93 Memorial at Pennsylvania crash site. There is no part 2 of this.